Hello guys, welcome to 7.7, which is area and mixed numbers. The essential question is, how can you use a unit tile to find the area of a rectangle with fractional side lengths? Here are the steps that we're going to do. There's two different methods I'm going to show you. The first is creating an area model and seeing what each square represents and finding the area, counting the tiles. Area, the formula, which you actually should write down, but the area is length times width. Okay? So actually, let me show it to you like this. It's going to be length times width. Okay? So what you need to do is just multiply the two sides. So they're going to give you two different sides, and that's what you're going to multiply to find the area. Okay? So don't freak out about that formula too much. Okay? Oops, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get to it, because all you're doing really for the area is multiplying. So let's go ahead and do it with the first example. If you need to go back and pause, go ahead. But it says Lee wants to cover the rectangular floor of her closet with tile. The floor is 2.5 feet by 3.5 feet. She wants to use the fewest tiles possible and doesn't want to cut any tiles. Tiles come in three sizes: 1 foot by 1 foot, 1/2 by 1/2, and 1/4 by 1/4. Choose the tile that Lee should use and what is the area of the closet floor. So we need to find the area, and we also need to figure out what's the tiles that she should use. Well, if one tile is 1 foot by 1 foot, the area is going to be 1, because we're multiplying 1 times 1. If we have a tile that's going to be 1/2, and let me actually make that a little bit better. If we have one that's going to be 1/2 by 1/2, well, 1/2 times 1/2 is going to be 1/4. So that would be the area of that tile. And then if we have a tinier tile that's 1/4 by 1/4, well, the area for 1/4 and 1/4 is 1/16. So the area for that one would be 1/16. So now that we have the areas of those tiles, what we need to do is find out the area of the closet. Okay? So let's just say we'll do the 1/2 tiles, because I'm going to think that if I use just the ones, it's going to be a whole number, and I don't think that if I multiply these, it's going to be a whole number. So let's just try out with the 1/2s. So let's say, okay, I have 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's say I have 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And I'm doing this for a reason, because I know if each tile represents a half, that means this is, so like if each one is, this is 1/2, this is 1/2, okay, that kind of thing, then I know that this would be one whole. 2 would make it a whole, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, and a half right here. This would be 1, 2, and 2.5 right here. So I actually don't need this one, because doing so would show me how many tiles. How many tiles do I have? So if this side right here is 3.5 and this side right here is 2.5, well, how many tiles do I have in here? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 by 5 tiles, which would be 35 tiles. Okay? So I would have 35 tiles, and I'd have 35 tiles that all have an area of 1/4. Which means that if I were to multiply these, it would be 35/4. So the area of the closet is 35/4. And when we convert it to a mixed number, we know that 4 goes in the 35 8 whole times. Okay? 4 times 8 is 32. So 35/4 minus 32/4 would equal 8 and 3/4. Alright, so we know that the half tiles would fit without cutting any tiles, and that would be the best one, because we know since it's 3/4, the whole tiles wouldn't work. You would have to cut one into a fourth, and she doesn't want to cut any tiles. So a half would be the biggest one that she could use that would fit. Okay, let me show you the second method, because this might be a little bit simpler for most of you. So what you do is you take 2.5 times 3.5, and you do what's called, what I like to call, the roller coaster method. Okay? And what you do here is you take the denominator and multiply it by the whole number, and then you add the numerator. So you multiply, then add. Let me show you what I mean by that. 2 times 2 is going to be 4, plus the 1 is going to be 5. Denominator stays the same. Now let's look at the next one. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7 over 2. So we got 5 over 2 times 7 over 2. I'm going to explain that one more time because you might have heard an announcement that was taking up the audio. You got to multiply the denominator times the whole number and then add the numerator. That's going to get you the improper fraction. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, denominator stays the same, 5 over 2. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, denominator stays the same, 7 over 2. And now we just multiply. 5 times 7 is 35, 2 times 2 is 4. And look at that. We get the same answer that we did when we did the area model. So we know that's going to be 8 and 3 over 4. Okay? This method might be a little bit easier for some of you guys, or simpler. And that might be one that you would want to use instead. But the area model helps too, so you can visually see it. So I'm going to give you one more example, and this is actually going to be number 1 in your problems today. So go ahead and write it down, and then you don't have to do number 1. And if you don't write it down, you'll still have to do number 1, so might as well watch this and write it down. So we have 1 2/3 times 1 1/3. Alright, and we could do this a couple ways. Let's make the area model first. Let's say that each tile represents 1/3. So if I have 1/3, 2/3, 1 whole, 1/3, 2/3, that would be my 1 2/3. Okay? Now we have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, right? This is my whole. 1 1/3. Okay? So now what we can do is just fill in the rest. Because it says let each square represent 1/3 by 1/3. So since it's going to be 1/3 by 1/3, each square is going to be 1/9. And let's count how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? This was 1 2/3. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 1 1/3. Okay? And I know I have 20 tiles. So I have 20, and I'm going to take 20 and multiply that times 1 over 9, which gets me 20 over 9. Now I know 9 goes into 20 2 times. 20 over 9. 9 times 2 is 18. You have 2 left over. Denominator stays the same. 2 2/9 is your answer. Let's do it without making an area model. Let's say we just have 1 2/3 times 1 1/3, and we're not going to make a grid. Okay, that's fine. Let's do the roller coaster method. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5 over 3. Times 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 4 over 3. 5 times 4 is 20. 3 times 3 is 9. Look at that. We got the same answer as before. 9 goes into 20 2 times. 20 over 9 minus 18 over 9 equals 2 over 9. So 20 and 2 over 9 is our answer. I don't care what method you decide to use today. They are going to give you grids, so that will help. You might want to try a couple of each and then see which method works best for you. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.